What if the motorbike you lost 10 years ago suddenly came back into your life? What if the police station you once doubted called you today to return something you thought was gone forever? And what if, deep in West Africa, a quiet revolution in justice and accountability was unfolding, not through protests or declarations, but through the return of stolen property to everyday citizens? That's exactly what happened in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, in June 2025. In a scene that felt more like a courtroom of reconciliation than a police operation, the National Police returned 121 stolen motorbikes to their rightful owners in an extraordinary display of justice and efficiency. For 3 days, from June 14th to June 16th, a crowd of over 2,000 people gathered at Place de la Nation, hoping that among the recovered bikes, theirs would be waiting. What they found there was more than just machinery. It was the return of something many had lost long ago: faith. In a country that has been battling terrorism, political instability, and economic hardship, stories like these often get buried. But what unfolded in the heart of Ouagadougou was a powerful reminder that governance, when done right, can still deliver justice. The operation didn't just return vehicles, it restored dignity. One of the most emotional reunions came from a woman who had lost her motorbike in 2015. That's 10 years of walking, borrowing, adjusting, and waiting. For her, the return of her bike wasn't just about convenience, it was about closure. 10 years of uncertainty came to an end in a moment she never thought possible. Then there was the young man who lost his bike in 2018. Like many others, he had long given up hope, yet there he was, gripping the handlebars of a bike he never thought he'd see again. These were not isolated miracles. The National Police, under the leadership of Commissioner Abdoulaye Belem, had conducted a series of operations from March 25th to June 11th, 2025. During this time, they launched sweeping security campaigns that included lockdowns of specific neighborhoods, checkpoint inspections, and zone sweeps targeting criminal activities. Thousands of motorbikes were seized. Many were undocumented or linked to criminal activity. Through careful investigation, documentation review, and cross-referencing of theft reports, 121 of these bikes were confirmed stolen and traced back to their original owners. But recovering the bikes was only part of the job. The more complex challenge was verifying ownership. The police instituted a meticulous process requiring every individual to provide either the original registration card, proof of purchase, or a legal declaration of loss or theft. The purpose was to ensure that bikes were returned only to legitimate claimants. While the process was strict, it was fair, and it sent a strong message to the public. The days of impunity are slowly fading. The success of this operation was more than logistical. It was emotional. One of the beneficiaries, Seydou Porgo, had lost his motorbike in 2018. For 7 long years, he carried the burden of that loss. When he finally stood before his old bike, worn down by use, repainted, and slightly battered, he didn't see the scratches or faded paint. He saw justice. He saw the effort of a police force that, against all odds, had made it possible. I had lost my bike in 2018. It's been 7 years now, but I found it. I am truly happy. I thank the police authorities for the work they have done, Seydou said, beaming with pride. He plans to refurbish the bike and possibly resell it, either whole or as spare parts. But the real victory, he says, is emotional. Then there was Salif Zoundi, another citizen whose bike was stolen a mere 3 months ago. His wife had borrowed it to attend a baptism, and it never came back. After filing a formal report with the police, he was contacted 2 weeks ago. They had found his bike. Salif couldn't believe it. He was brought in for an interview and identification process. Then, on the day of restitution, he got the call. I went in, they interviewed me. Today they called me to come collect my motorbike. I'm really happy and deeply grateful to the National Police, he said. These are the kinds of stories that often go untold. While international headlines are filled with narratives of African instability, poverty, and conflict, they rarely mention the quieter moments where justice is done and systems function. This operation in Ouagadougou stands as a rare, shining example of what's possible when institutions work as they should. Commissioner Belem, who has been a key figure in reshaping the image of the national police, explained the scale of the operation in detail. Thousands of motorbikes were seized during their 3-month campaign. Many of them were found in the possession of criminal groups, while others had been sold illegally in underground markets. Through forensic checks, color analysis, serial number tracking, and collaboration with local administrations, 121 bikes were proven to be stolen property. Some suspects were apprehended immediately and presented before the courts. Belem's message to the public was clear. Yes, theft must be punished, but society also has a role to play in securing itself. He emphasized that every citizen is a participant in public security. If we are going to blame the thieves, we must also examine ourselves. Every citizen is a part of the public safety framework. In fact, every individual is the first actor in their own security. We must develop habits and initiatives that contribute to our own protection and collective well-being, he stated. This idea that security is not just the responsibility of the state, but also of the citizen, is part of a growing philosophy in Burkina Faso's law enforcement reforms. The police are encouraging more community collaboration, more crime reporting, and more personal vigilance. And operations like the recent motorbike restitution give credibility to this approach. When citizens see real results, they are more likely to trust the system and engage with it constructively. Moreover, this operation has re-energized a debate about how property crimes, often seen as minor, can have major social consequences. A motorbike in Burkina Faso is not just transportation. It's a means of income, a tool for education, a bridge between communities. Losing it can disrupt an entire family's livelihood. Recovering it can restore much more than material value. It can restore hope. This event also marks a turning point in public perception of the national police. For years, police forces across many parts of Africa have battled with reputational issues. From allegations of corruption to abuses of power, public trust has often been fragile. But when the police act transparently, when they return stolen goods, and when they follow due process, they rewrite that narrative. In recent rankings, Burkina Faso's police force has been recognized as one of the most professional and citizen-focused in Africa. This is not just a title, it's a reflection of changing reality. And perhaps the most profound part of this entire story is the way it reframes our understanding of justice. It's easy to think of justice as grand trials, major political reforms, or international courts. But sometimes, justice is found in small things. A phone call that says, "We found your bike," a handwritten receipt that becomes a ticket to redemption, a dusty corner of a public square where a mother finds what she thought was gone forever. These quiet moments, these seemingly small victories, are the bricks with which nations are rebuilt. In the long arc of Africa's journey towards sovereignty, justice, and progress, operations like this one are far more meaningful than they first appear. They are evidence that we are not stuck, that institutions can improve, that justice can find its way, even if it takes 10 years. As we reflect on what happened in Ouagadougou this June, we must see it not just as a police story, but as a national story. It is a moment of pride, yes, but also a moment of learning. It shows us what is possible when leadership meets responsibility, and when the state serves its people with dignity and purpose. To our loyal viewers and subscribers of Voice of Africa, thank you for continuing to support content that tells the truth, amplifies the good, and inspires change. It is because of your engagement that we can spotlight these stories the world needs to hear. If this one moved you, if it made you think differently about justice in Africa, consider liking, sharing, or sending a super thanks to support our mission. Every voice matters. Every story counts. Let this be a lesson for other African nations. Justice is not just about punishing the guilty, it is about healing the broken. And as long as there are people willing to demand accountability and institutions willing to deliver it, there is hope for a better tomorrow. In the heart of West Africa, in the dusty streets of Ouagadougou, 121 motorbikes returned home. But more importantly, 121 families found closure. And through them, an entire nation took one quiet but powerful step forward.